What's good? What's good? We are back with another WWE talk. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, bring that notification bell, man. A lot has happened this weekend in the world of pro wrestling, in the world of Saturday night main event, and we can't forget about Monday Night Raw. So, without further ado, we're gonna do a little recap. Actually, let me get my music right. I'm tripping before I get into what I gotta do. I want that one right there. There we go. There we go. All right, so my thoughts on Saturday night main event. It felt like a glorified mid Carter as far as the type of matches they had and the people they had on the matches. It felt very, very rushed. That's how it was with the first one too. It was like you have a feud you build up for like maybe 2 weeks or the week before some wrestler randomly has a beef with somebody, and now all of a sudden they're supposed to have a match at Saturday night main event, or they just randomly call somebody out. But let's see, we had Rhea Ripley beating Nia Jax for the women's world title. Yawn. Braun Breaker, he ended up beating Sheamus to retain the IC title. My question again is, where is Braun Breaker? We see him ringside on Monday Night Raw, but we don't see him actually in any matches on Raw anymore. It used to be a thing where he was on Monday Night Raw every week with a match, and now all of a sudden, nothing. We'll see him ringside. He'll flash his IC title. That's it. That's how the whole thing with him and Sheamus kind of started. It went back to, him and Ludwig Kaiser and Sheamus, that is, in a triple threat match on a Saturday night main event, I think. If not, it was Survivor Series. But the point is, it just seems like it's worn out, it's tired. The one who made the biggest name for himself was Jacob Fatu, though. The moment he picked up the mic, was it a week ago? It's just been, okay, we see who they gonna push. And I'm glad they did, because I was tired of him just doing a little yell and doing the flips, and that's it. Give him some personality. Give him, something. Give him some type of storyline besides being the muscle or the lackey for the new bloodline. But yeah, he ended up he lost by DQ to Braun Strowman. Fatu threw the ref out the ring. He hit Strowman with a couple running hip strikes. Then Fatu hit flip after flip after flip after flip on Braun Strowman. And it's clear that the crowd was chanting Fatu the whole time. He got the crowd behind him. So that's a very big thing for him. Now it's like, okay, they can push this guy. They were chanting one more time after he was back near the ramp. Then he came back and did another flip, man. I was like, okay. What's good, Thomas? What's good? Bronze in the building. This man say, love you, Solo Sokoa. And here we go. Speaking of wrestling, Cody Rhodes just shows up now, starts attacking Drew McIntyre. He never does any matches, man. I swear, he never does or has any matches. And yeah, another Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens segment where it's not an actual match. They're going back to back in a brawl. It's the same thing we saw on SmackDown, I swear. Same thing we saw on SmackDown. If it's not this, Cody Rhodes is gonna do his whole respect spiel and his promo. And honestly, I'm tired of take the belt off Cody Rhodes. Like, cool, he got the little storyline, but take the belt off, bro. Take it off of him and Gunther, which I'll get into in a second. What's up, Hurricane J Dub in the building? But yeah, someone mentioned Jacob Fatu. Like I mentioned before, he's over with the crowd, and the way they have things set up, it's probably going to be a rematch between him and Braun Strowman, whether it be on SmackDown or on another pay-per-view. Say like the Royal Rumble or something, but I think it'd be kind of dumb to do it. Actually, neither of them have a title on the line, so they wouldn't do it at Royal Rumble. But they'll probably highlight it, if anything. We know we had Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes had to hang up the belts. And as a result, KO caught Sweet Chin Music. He tried to get in some dirty shots. And yet again, Caught that sweet chin music from Shawn Michaels, man. So Cody Rhodes has the title for 270 something days, only defended like 7 or 8 times. Yeah, and this is supposedly the workhorse. This is the dude that they were saying he put the WWE on his back. Nigga, I could probably count on one hand the number of matches he done had, bro. It's crazy. What's up, Blue Power Tech in the building? What's good with you? But yeah, I'm just over Cody Rhodes at this point. Same with Gunther. He ended up beating Jey Uso to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. Uso, he had a Superfly splash, 2 spears, went for the third one. Gunther turned that into some power bombs, ended up getting the win. And the thing is, no title changes on this thing that you've been hyping up. Take Hulk Hogan off of the promos. They don't rock with Hulk Hogan whatsoever. Take him off. I know he got a little deal with him and his beard. Take him off the promos. People ain't rocking with Hulk Hogan, especially after his debut on Raw on Netflix when he came out there and got booed out of the building. Yeah, take him off the promos, bro. And like I said before, I don't really care for the mid-card matches they really put. Call it what you want. I ain't a fan of it. I know they wanted to get the nostalgia going and bring it back, but damn, that ain't how you do it, bro. This is really just a money grab as far as Saturday Night Main Event goes. Said Cody don't know how to cut a promo. It's the same. He don't know how to cut a different promo. It's the same thing over and over and over and over. So you know how other leagues before their official ones. Now what did the WWE have before the WWE? Are you talking about like G League to the NBA or what? UFL to NFL? So I guess their version of would be NXT. So they doing Jey Uso wrong. They've been doing him so dirty. Why give him a title for a month and then take it off and put it on Braun Breaker again? Which, don't get me wrong, I rock with Braun Breaker. I rock with Braun Breaker. He's one of my favorite young talents in WWE. But they did that, put the belt on him just so he could get dragged back into the Bloodline storyline, which is seemingly, at least on his part, seemingly over. So what was the point? Either commit to actually having him hold the title for a while or don't do it. Mad about what they did to LA Knight taking his belt off. That's another one that don't make sense. They took off LA Knight belt, gave it to Shinsuke Nakamura. They got him sitting ringside at Raw randomly. Then in LA Knight's matches, Nakamura comes out, randomly jumps him. Like, come on. LA Knight really should be booked as a main eventer. Like, he got the whole package there. Pause. Just book him, put him in like a heavyweight type feud. Do that if you're gonna take the US title off of him. Said his best entrance song was when he was Stardust. Nah, man, that was it. The Smoke and Mirrors one when he was dashing Cody Rhodes. That was my favorite one. I don't really like how I forgot what I was going to say. Oh no, Stardust. I never really cared for the whole Stardust thing. I know Cody went all in on it. It wasn't for me. I wasn't crazy for Goldust. I don't really care for Stardust. I ain't need 2 of them. And I damn sure didn't need a tag title for it. Oh, you mean like how the NFL won the NFL? Okay. What would be WW? Well, I guess it was F before it changed to E. I don't know. I want to say there is, but I'm not sure. Oh, there go Cody again, cutting a promo. No match. And one of my best friends, he texted me before the show started tonight, Monday Night Raw now, and he was talking about 30 minutes in, no one locked up yet. I was like, damn, he ain't lying. It always starts with a promo. Tonight it was Gunther, Seth Rollins, Logan Paul. And they really, really hate Logan Paul, man. I was like, damn, he got booed so loud he had to yell on the mic. had to yell on him. Oh shit, they got CM Punk coming out. But he had to yell on the mic just to get his point across because the boos were just raining down on Logan Paul, man. And again, Gunther can't cut a promo to save his life. Because honestly, it's all about like the I respect you, but and then blah blah blah. You're not championship material. You're not what you used to be. It's the same shit every time with Gunther. I'm like, take the belt off of him. Take the belt off him, please. Please do so. So earlier tonight we had, like I said, Logan Paul got hella boos. Sami Zayn, he facing more temptation with Karrion Kross in a backstage segment. They address Seth and Sami both addressed the whole issue last week, where Sami Zayn ended up super kicking Seth Rollins while he was in the corner in the turnbuckles. And they seem cool right now. They seem cool, but you never know. He might do something at Royal Rumble, and then Seth gonna look at him sideways. Who knows? He just had a match tonight with Drew McIntyre. The War Raiders, they end up beating Judgment Day, JD and Dom, that is, to retain the tag titles. Rey Mysterio, he beat Xavier Woods thanks to a distraction from Woods' family, quote unquote, and Lil Yachty. Jey Uso, he came out with Quavo for his entrance, which I guess that's gonna be the norm now. Is every week he gonna come out with a new rapper, especially now that they on Netflix. It was Travis Scott, now it's Quavo. Next, who knows? It might be two Chainz, or who knows, man. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, they beat Naomi and Bianca Belair thanks to interference from Dirty Dom, who ended up getting splashed on by Bianca Belair. I know that sounds crazy. They didn't turn Dom into a jobber for real. Like, I can't remember last time I've seen him actually win a match. Every time I see him either getting slammed by Rhea Ripley, losing a match, whether it's tag team, it don't matter. That man is getting jobbed out. They got this man simping over Liv Morgan and in the segments and stuff. I'm like, damn, they got this man going out sad. And to think, this is Rey Mysterio's son. That's another one too, Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews, yeah, they got this man doing backstage segments where he getting jumped. He in a match, he gonna lose. Yeah, he a jobber. But I mean, you know how they usually like to book certain. Yeah, I ain't gonna say all, but yeah, certain black wrestlers and stuff. You know how they do that shit. You got the ones that they gonna be in the championship conversation, but they probably not gonna win it. You got the ones who are mid carders. Then you got the ones who are straight up jobbers, reduced to comedic roles, whether it be like an R-Truth, which I mean, R-Truth is fine with that. Apollo Crews kind of goes in that jobber comedic role shit. So you know that's what they do with a lot of black wrestlers. This man said Liv Morgan can get it though. I don't disagree at all. I 100% agree with that. Say Gunther's a boring person. He's had the same gimmick since NXT UK. They should have never took the title off Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley doesn't need it. Liv needs it more. They didn't really do jack shit with it. With the women's title, that is, like, that whole back and forth with her and Rhea Ripley, that shit was so tired. It was over with. They didn't need to do the shit anymore. And it's funny, they still keep making sure they have some type of run-ins now that they on SmackDown and shit. It's like, really? That's one too. I don't think he won one singles title. Coco Beware, he in the WWE Hall of Fame though. But Coco Beware, that's one of them. R-Truth, I'd mentioned before. Crime Time, they never won a tag title. They should have. They really should have. And they just said, nah, we're gonna make you the black stereotype. They like to shoot dice. They like to rob people, all the other shit. It's like, you know, Vince, that was some Vince McMahon shit for sure. But they should have gave him at least one tag title run. Because, you know, the crowd rock with him and everything. And now, they really don't have a whole lot of black champions. I mean, you got Naomi and Bianca Belair. Who, what's his name? Trick Williams, NXT. I'm sure there might be a couple I'm forgetting, but they don't really have a whole lot. And usually, if they do win a title, they don't hold that shit long at all. They might hold it for a month, or when they do lose, they got them in a squash match where it's a 5 minute match. Braun's over here with the snow bunnies. Oh yeah, hit that like button, man. Before I forget, hit that damn like button. So RP to Shad. Yeah, man. That shit sucked. That whole thing. And the fishy thing about it was the whole story just sounded a little odd. I know they were saying he was saving his son from drowning or whatever, and he ended up drowning in the process of saving his son. They had a search crew of like different people from Dolph Ziggler, John Morrison. I forgot the other ones, but they had some other people that went out, JTG, that went out looking for him. But that shit was so suspect. Especially any pro wrestler that passes is always never like just some regular shit. The WCW put the title belt on any wrestler. They damn sure did. They love Bianca and Jade. Yeah, that's another storyline. They got to go over like who jumped Jade. Part of me want to look it up just so I know, but then I'm like, I don't even want to spoil. I don't want to spoil it. I'm gonna just let it be. So NXT got the best women's division though. Crazy. I don't really watch a whole lot of NXT. I've heard that, but I don't watch a whole lot. I don't know. It's hard to get behind. I guess the newer talent, since they're a little bit greener. Some of these wrestlers on Raw and SmackDown, they obviously green too, but I don't know. It's just not the same. That's sad. He's gonna be disappointed on February 9th. So it was definitely suspect. Yeah, I'm trying to think who had another bizarre one besides like Chris Benoit. You got Ashley Massaro. I mean that whole story, but that was one of them. She was working at a radio show, and just one day, because she was found unalived in her apartment, they said she just didn't show up to work. They called her, no answer. But they said she was found unalived in her own apartment. And this was after obviously she left WWE, and she had a bad history in WWE as far as things that happened to her, especially overseas. I know I talked about it before when they went to one of those troop shows. And just read the article. That's all I can say. Read that damn article. So Chris Benoit didn't do it. You stand on it. He was set up. Yeah, the way they did it, that shit sound mad suspect. And why? My thing is this: why does the WWE go so far out of their way to make sure that they try to mitigate or reduce the amount that they show or promote Chris Benoit in any shape or form? Like, he's not in the video games as a DLC character, unless they slipped him in one of the older games I ain't played. He's not in that. You don't see him in any of the highlights and stuff. They just act like he didn't exist. And that's always been fishy to me. That one was so bad for the fact that you knew it was messed up from the start. Like the whole harness, the stuff Owen Hart even said to his wife beforehand the night before. That's mad fishy. And to go on like nothing even happened in the show. Like, yeah, never mind, this dude just got unalived during his entrance. That was completely unsafe. We're just gonna act like this didn't happen. We're gonna have the rest of these matches, never mind Owen Hart. And I know Vince McMahon called hell for that shit. Say Google Operation Raw deal and you'll find out why Chris Benoit didn't do it. Is obvious. They were waiting on him when he got home. Operation Raw deal. I ain't never heard of that. Let's see. Oh damn, they went off. I don't know why I was thinking this was gonna be 3 hours long. Oh well. Oh, I'm supposed to look in Crispin Wall. Do I think Naomi jumped Jade? That I could see that. I could see that. I want to say they might have teased a heel turn or something about that. I heard rumbles about it. Other than that, I don't know who it could be. Yeah. So you got unalived at Over the Edge, which is ironic considering the way that he passed too. Said plenty of these dead wrestlers were good family men. I can't speak on what they did in their personal life, but some of them they got a little bit more checker past than you think. You blame Vince and Shawn Michaels. It's hard not to blame Vince because like I said before, somebody brought that up in the interview. I think it was specifically Chris Benoit, and he got super pissed off about it because really about like all the different wrestlers that were dying in a short amount of time. And Vince cut the dude off in the interview and was like, like, yeah, we ain't going down this road. So Naomi heel turn is overdue. What's up with you, man? How you doing?
Great. Had to get the research together like that.
Say that again. I don't know. Your audio acting kind of weird. I don't know.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's like muffled.
I was saying I had to get the restream together, but outside of that, I'm good.
Oh hell yeah, that's what's up. What's up? You see Saturday Night Main Event?
I saw a little bit of it. I need to get do a deep dive, but of course, Jay, they didn't have him be a winner again. It's sad, but he's the Josh Allen of the WWE right now.
That's a good comparison. Like the way they done this man dirty. It's like, what is keeping them from pushing him to actually be the real main event Jey Uso? They got the title belt.
I'd have to think about that. I feel like, and Paul said this about Roman years ago, if you remember, when he was like, "Hey, you're the right." He was like, "You're the right guy at the right place at the wrong time."
Damn, that's a good way to describe it too. Like the whole way he got dragged into the Bloodline storyline. It was in the IC title, and he ended up losing that belt.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like Jay is so over, and I can't say I'm shocked, but if you would have told me like when he was out there getting choked out by Roman, what was that, 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, he would be like, I remember the main event thing was like almost in name only, but he was main eventing like SmackDown and stuff, Thunderdome. But it was like, oh yeah, he's main event because he's, Roman's not there. And then it became, oh no, like he really does main event. He really is selling merchandise.
Yeah, he's like number 3 in merch sold. He's in like commercials and stuff. He got the Slim Jim commercial, like him, LA Knight, and I forgot. I think it's somebody else.
Bianca Belair.
Yeah, there's that one. Then they got another one with like a rip off of Randy Savage too.
I'd have to watch that. Yeah. The Yeet stuff kind of reminds me of Macho Man in a way. He has the glasses, all the other stuff.
The crazy designs on his shirt and on his pants and stuff. I can see that.
Yeah.
And then
He
you
has
look
a
at his
lot going.
delivery too.
Yeah. Coming. Even though he's coming out the crowd, Quavo and
Travis
Travis
Scott.
Scott.
Yeah, he's mad. He mad over, but they need to give him a push. And it's funny now they giving Jacob Fatu a push.
Like Jake, and it's funny because I've seen some of this MLW stuff. If you guys have it at home, and like he is so like, well, I used to say Roman reminded me of like, and the Usos reminded me of like Samoan niggas, but he definitely is like a Samoan nigga.
I saw one interview with Jacob Fatu, like in the back of some, I don't know what it was. It looked like it was in an alley. And that's the first time I heard him actually talk where he wasn't yelling and howling and stuff. I was like, oh, this is like a street nigga right here. Like this ain't there's no regular dude. This is a street nigga. I think he got locked up too.
He
Yeah, he
did.
did. Yeah.
And if you ever hear that, like that, and that was before he got WWE. Like I heard, he was like he said himself, like during like a wrestling promo or something, he was like, "Yeah, I got locked up when I was 18, so this is probably like 20 years ago." And ironically, at the same time, the Usos was on TV, like SmackDown or Raw or something, and he was telling everybody, he was like, "Yeah, those are my cousins. Those are, and everybody's looking at him like, "Yeah, whatever." And then he was like, "Yeah, I didn't think about getting to wrestling. I see them getting to wrestling, and I'm like, damn, I need to get out when I get out of jail. I need to do something." And so he got into wrestling.
I think he said Solo was the one that talked him into doing it.
And that's crazy because Solo is younger than all of them.
Yeah, he is. Cause really they need to push Jacob, Jay. I don't really care for the other two.
Yeah,
Tonga and Tonga. I don't really care for them.
yeah, they're just kind of there. Yeah,
I don't know if they ever gonna push them. I can see. I never thought that they would ever push the Usos when I first saw them debut back in was that 2012, like 2011, 2012. Where was they came out on Raw? It was them two and Tamina. I would have never expected them to be tag team champions, or if you told me Jey Uso would be the IC title belt holder, somebody would be like, yeah, all right, I would have laughed at you. But it does help. They attached to Roman or were attached to Roman Reigns.
yeah, like, and it's crazy because I think if I remember correctly, I think the Usos and Tamina debuted before Roman did. Like that was maybe 3 or 4 years later,
Oh
which
yeah,
is why I think about um the way the Usos debuted. Because like, and shout out to the Wasamoans, by the way, Sika. But the way it was back in the day, like besides Yokozuna and kind of Rikishi, all Samoans, well, The Rock, but given circumstances, he's half, but uh, all Samoans had like the same. Well, we're gonna, do the dance and the this and the that, and it's like the newer Samoans outside the Usos kind of broke out of that. It's like you can be Samoan and still have whatever your character is or whatever.
yeah. Like I've noticed a little bit, but when they first came out, the Usos, it was like the whole Samoan thing, and then they shifted into like more of a hip hop type thing. Is this a motherfucking song? All right, I was about to say. All right, but yeah, well, like I was saying, it's like the Usos they shifted to more of a hip hop aesthetic after they debuted on the whole tribal thing on some like Umaga shit.
Yeah, you're right about that. They definitely did that. I feel like you had Umaga was like the perfect mix because he was like a savage.
I done heard stories about Umaga. Then he had, the legal issues. I think they said he had drinking problems too, but then he got
Yeah,
clean.
yeah. Umaga definitely was like, I could understand him being like a Samoan, bulldozer, like everything he was. I can understand that. Like he deserved all that. But like some of the other ones, like Roman, he doesn't need to be like a Samoan guy. The Usos, I know they were dancing out there before, doing the Haku chants or whatever. They don't need to be doing that. Like they're like newer age Samoans. Like they grew up different. Not that you can't support the culture, but like they were more like Troy Polamalu or something.
Mm-hmm. And the main reason Roman even got that push, that was like one of those Vince hand selected type things, because he had the look and it shows. And they tried with the baby face thing. People weren't really rocking red the first time. He had the light colored contacts and stuff. It just looked weird.
Yeah,
Couldn't
yeah,
cut promos. He got cooked
yeah,
by Cena in one. And then they found his character with the head of the table, the OTC. And that was like, okay, this dude's a badass. He looks like, yo, we can slap him in a movie now. Put him on them
yeah.
Fast and Furious.
Shout out to somebody saying Umaga was Fatu before Fatu, because
That's
that's definitely
accurate
true.
stuff, man. That's hella accurate.
He was, and shout out to my guy Armando Alejandro Estrada. Like that dude was like a great like manager. He was almost like a Paul Heyman type. He could talk. He did everything you need to do as a manager. Before I answer the who I got winning the Rumbles, I will say this: um, Roman and like I've always and I've known you for several years now. Shout out to that, by the way. I've I've said this for years. The cross train, people who just know wrestling or football, or some people know both. I've always treated, since I was probably about at least about 18, I used to say wrestling and football were kind of related. And obviously, you can get deeper into that. But I say that to say this: who are your main characters? Who does it look like they're going to push NFL, WWE wise? And Roman, like certain guys you just look at, girls same way, and you can just tell, as being you've talked about for years, this guy looks like a superstar. This guy is getting pushed like a superstar. Roman, he had that. Like I remember when I saw the Shield, I used to be like, well, Dean is like the wrestler who's been a wrestler for a while. Seth, we'll see if he's the odd man out. Obviously, he found his footing. But Roman, you can just tell, like you said, like the complexion, being Samoan, having the contacts. Like Vince probably had a hard on for him when he first saw that man, just like Brock. You know what I mean? And the fact that him
Yeah.
and Brock fought each other so many times tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, and it was like the one thing that people didn't like about Roman when he first came out was the fact it was so forced how the push was, because it was like we just seen Cena with the Superman push. We don't need to see it again with Roman Reigns. But it eventually paid off over time.
Given circumstances, like how everything worked out, it did. What's crazy is I used to say, watching back on if you watch in real time from back in the day on, I used to say if you look at Roman, he looked like a heel character. Like I know Vince tried to push him because he wanted the next Cena, and Cena obviously murdered him, years ago with his promo or whatever. But he literally looked like a guy you would kind of want to hate because he was a good looking guy. He was getting the push. And I kept saying, like, this is where you pull the trigger, like, not necessarily against Brock, but, given circumstances, when they should have did it is the infamous, what was that, WrestleMania, I think 33, with him and Undertaker, and he just accepted all the booze and accepted all the booze, and you ain't shit, and F you Roman and all this stuff. And when he said, literally, that was his best promo until he became the tribal chief, where he said nothing. He kept putting the mic. He was probably supposed to have a whole long thing, and then he literally just said, "This is my yard now," and threw the mic down. That to me, even with the tribal chief stuff, it may be top 5 all time Roman promo.
Mm.
Think about it. Go back and watch. I'll spin it to you if I have to. When I tell you in real time, he had them eating out of the palm of his hand, and he didn't say a word. It was almost some Dominic Mysterio type heat, where when every time he would go to put the mic up, they would just boo him out of the building.
That's a good thing too. If you want to get over, that's the thing. Like Logan Paul, he got heat for obvious things that came way before pro wrestling, and now they hate that man.
Yeah, and
And
honestly,
he actually good in the ring too, so that helps as well.
yeah, and people hate like outsiders, and obviously Logan has a hateable face. Like certain guys have hateable characters, and if you ever get a chance, watch Paul Heyman on Logan's podcast. It's great, but you need that. And like when I was like, damn, he should be healed. Then this is probably 3 years before he became a heel. Like it was one of those things. Like damn, they didn't put Vince didn't see it. Like that was it. Like because he could have just went deep into I retired the Undertaker. Like actively blah 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 blah. Like I said, Roman has that. Even though MJF used it, like I'm better than you. Roman's whole thing before he became the tribal chief or whatever should have been like, yeah, I'm better than you. I main event WrestleManias, you don't. Blah 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 blah. Like he had all the factor, but Vince, trying to make him Super Cena, and obviously that's why it didn't work because we've seen it, like you said, it all like came full circle. He needed, and him actually being able to do it with no crowd almost worked too because he got to try stuff with no crowd reaction actually there. So they got to push whatever narrative they wanted.
That's a good point too. The crowd not being there. Said Punk or Orton probably wins men's in Charlotte for chicks, the Royal Rumble that is. Good to see me branching out with wrestling. Said Braun Breaker and Fatu of the future. Braun Breaker for sure. Both guys are third generation from guys in a WrestleMania 9 tag team. Who you think gonna win the Royal Rumble?
So women's Charlotte will be in. Ironically, I'm trying to remember. I think it'll be either Becky Lynch or Charlotte. Becky Lynch could fight. Because Tiffany Stratton is a heel, so you could have Becky fight her. If you go Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley. As far as the Raw main event, obviously they fought each other before. If you remember, like several times, but it was like in different stages of both career. So I could see a Charlotte Rhea rematch. They want to go that way, but I think it just depends on. I think it'll be one of them two. For men's, I think it just depends. Punk. The thing about Punk winning the Royal Rumble, I think either Steph holds him out of that, so he doesn't win. Like I know Cena said that he was going to win. I could almost see that, like as a happenstance, especially if he is later on, and then Cena kind of fight like Gunther or
I hope
something
not.
like that.
I really hope not.
Yeah, just you know, giving him a title match. Um, I think Elimination Chamber. I'm trying to remember where they said it was going to be. Is
I
it in
think
Canada
Toronto.
this year?
It's like Royal Rumbles in Indianapolis and Elimination Chambers in Toronto.
Okay, so I think that's very interesting. Um, I would say, like, yeah, Punk and Rollins definitely is over. There's a thing I have about that, but I would say Cena, Orton coming in would definitely be interesting, but I think Orton will come in after. Um, well, there's two different scenarios I have with Randy. One would be him not doing anything because remember, Kevin Owens put him out, so it makes sense if him and Kevin Owens fought at like WrestleMania or something like that. Or B, like have Owens eventually fight Cody.
I hope not, because we've seen it, and every week is the same shit with him. It's even on Raw tonight. It was Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens getting to some brawl. They got to get broken up. Somebody's cutting the promo, or Cody Rhodes gonna cut the same promo. SmackDown, same thing. Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes going at it. Saturday Night Main Event, Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens going at it. It's so repetitive. They don't need to drag that shit to WrestleMania. And I feel like Triple H would do some bullshit like that though.
I think the only way you don't is if you have Orton and KO. Like, hey, we're in a tag team. You try to screw me over with the pile driver type thing, so you have them split. Um, the only reason why I don't have Punk as a bigger winner for Royal Rumble is because and you can't. I mean, you can technically wait later in the year, but I feel like remember CM Punk said what a few months ago. Hey, you owe me a favor,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I need a favor. So what? How do you get to that? Like I feel like you get to that by like Punk basically, even though he's still dealing with Steph, sorta. Like if you kind of weave them in and out, like, hey, I didn't win this. I I need to get to a title match somehow. Paul Heyman, you can help me out. So like even because obviously you have Roman in there too. Like, and that's the thing. Like, there's so many people variables. Like, I'll just say, who do you think your final five or the final six is, and then we can go from there.
I can see Punk, McIntyre. I feel like they wouldn't pass on the chance to not have Cena in that final five. Who else? Who
I
else?
agree with that. Roman can't get kicked out before that, right?
Hmm. They'd have to set up a feud if he did. But since they said it's supposed to be so star-studded, throw in Roman, and number five would be. Hmm, I don't know. It'd probably be a surprise guest or one of the surprise entries.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll say this: if Cena doesn't win, I think it'll be because Logan Paul kicked him out.
Specifically, Logan Paul.
Do you remember what the first night on Netflix? What happened?
What did Cena say?
So Cena said about his time being out or whatever, blah 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 blah. It wasn't right away. Like you'd have to watch it back in real time, but it wasn't right away. But like 30, 40 minutes later, Logan Paul sitting in the audience, and then he's like, they're like, "Hey, Logan Paul's here," blah blah blah. Blah. They boo him, and he literally, and so he has a watch on, and he literally points at it and says, "My time is now." It's
Mm,
like, oh, okay.
I don't know. I never thought about that. That shouldn't be seen as last match of WrestleMania by any means.
It I have a thing with that. We may have to talk about that on a later date. I actually have what I would do with Cena as far as his last whatever. I'll just say this as a cliffhanger. I would not have Cena's last year be his last year, but we can talk about that at another time in another
You
day.
wouldn't have seen his last year to be his last year. Interesting. Young Mills. Wait, yeah, go on.
So,
What you about to
so
say?
let me say this last part on that real quick. So remember how WWE, what was it? Well, it's been like 15 years ago now. It's wild. But remember when they were like, it's once in a
Talking about
lifetime?
the
Remember
Cena
that?
Rock thing.
Yes. And then what was it? Not once in a lifetime because they literally were like, well, yeah, we made so much
Let's do
money
a
after the
rematch.
first one, like a month later. They're like, we got to do
Yeah.
it twice, right? I'll just say this. I'm not sure exactly how it get there, even though I have some steps, but it just involves a Cena heel turn at the end of the year, and Cena goes a whole nother year, and a year, maybe even a year and a half, like, depending on circumstances. He doesn't have to be there all the time, given the circumstances I was thinking about, but I would end, like, the way Cena's career would end would be you would have like oh, we love you, we're gonna suck you off, and we love you, and then at the very end, how you get him is, you know, either he fights for one last title or whatever, or anything can happen. Now it has his last few, and then you just have to have a sympathetic baby face. That's the part I'd have to think about. Somebody who is so sympathetic, you're like, oh man, we love insert name here. You probably can think of some names, and then he turns heel on them, and then he has a heel run as a champion. I'd even put him in a group after that. Like, I'll just say this: the what happened with the Fiend in WrestleMania 35, I believe, should not be left in vain.
Hmm. I don't know.
If you remember
I don't know if he do a
that,
heel turn though with Cena this late in his career.
I, it would be so like, and this has been in my head for a minute. It would be so unexpected, right? Like in my head, how I would do it, because of course it's been sort of out there, and I can go into super detail later. You have them run it out. They have them face all these heels. He said later on, because what he said is, in particular, after my run is over, like I'll never be John Cena in the George and blah blah
He's
blah
like
again, right? He said
no more
when
jean
I'm
shorts, no more what t-shirts, no more of this. And he said next time you see
yeah,
me, I'll be in a suit.
yeah. So I would put him. I know in WrestleMania 30 or 35 they had him alternate universe in NWO, blah 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 blah. I'd put him damn near, you know, it not that obviously it was his, but a remix NWO evolution type where, hey, I win the title, right? Hell, if you really wanted to do it, if you really wanted to get him heat, you have a guy like Dominic Mysterio help him.
Mm.
Hey, John, I do you can think about it. He literally has known him his whole life. Hey, I'm done with Judgment Day. I didn't want you to go out. You lost a title match, say, somewhere in the next 3 months. I didn't want to see you get one later on in the year in December or whatever. I didn't want to see you go out like that. And then he's like, doing a whole, well, kind of Hulk Hogan type shit. Oh, I want to retire, brother, blah, 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 blah. I didn't want to win the title this way, but yet He doesn't
Hmm.
relinquish it, right? He just holds on to it. Then he holds on to it at Royal Rumble. Then you get another WrestleMania out of him as a heel. And then, anytime he technically wants to, whether it's SummerSlam, obviously you have to be a bigger event, SummerSlam or Money in the Bank or whatever, he can lose it. And then how you can still end his career in a high note is, a guy like Dominic Mysterio. And hell, I'm writing it for you. I'm sorry. I'm just having it in my. You have it where it obviously if Dominic him, right? Oh man, I help you win the title. You lose the title, whether it's 4 or 5 months, 6 months. Damn, Cena, you were going to retire. Then he, get into a feud with him. Obviously, there could be other guys, but if you have a feud with him with a group, and the main guy who turns on him does it, then you could have Cena just like to go out on his back, go a baby face, and a guy like Dominic Mysterio get all kinds of heat. Like, yeah, I retired Johnson. I made him champion. I got him out of here. You feel what I'm saying?
And he'd have damn near infinite heat for that one.
Yeah, and Dominic needs to be almost the reverse Rey Mysterio. Everybody loves Rey. Nobody needs to love Dominic.
Yeah, they don't like Dom at all as it is now. Someone asked why are the same wrestlers on the cover of games. My best guess would be familiarity. Like, no matter how old you are, for the most part, you still gonna know who John Cena is. You know who Rey Mysterio is. You probably know who Roman Reigns is by now. You know who Randy Orton is. That more of just familiarity type thing. I think the
I
weirdest
agree with
one they
that.
put on there was who they put on there? AJ Styles, but even then, people who watch wrestling know who AJ Styles is from TNA. So
Right. And now you want, especially how WWE is now. I mean, they're about to do stuff with Major League Soccer. I don't know if you've seen that.
what's that? What are they doing?
So, Major League Soccer is going to do like pre and post productions tapes in WWE production in their what do you call that headquarters. So WWE will be basically doing promos. Like I seen this earlier, basically doing promos for Major League Soccer.
What?
Yeah, look it up. I'm telling you. Yeah, I was like, okay. Major League Soccer was like, yeah, we need to get these, rivalries and stuff like that. We need to hype them up, and they know WWE promotes like no other. So there you go.
Oh, kind of like how the NFL does with the Super Bowl when they had or did like when they had The Rock for the one in LA. Kind of like
Yeah,
they try to tie the two in type shit.
yeah. And so they'll be doing like weekly things for like, oh well, the matchup is Atlanta versus New York, and here's the rivalry, or blah 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 blah. Yeah,
Yeah, like a little backstory type thing.
yeah. They promote like no other. Them and UFC, who are ironically are both together, they promote
Hmm.
stuff like nobody else can.
Especially a build up too. So it feels like the first year in a while. I feel like I could see more than two people actually winning the Rumble. Yeah, they said it's supposed to be star studded, man.
Yeah, I always like it when like your Final Four or Final Five, like you can make a case for anybody. And the women the same way. The women's has actually been more um exciting to the men's. And like you got girls like Asuka, like the women's, even though that's a longer story, the women's talent is so crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
Most of them in NXT though, because I
yeah,
know the matches
especially the
I've
back.
seen on the Raw and SmackDown. Most of the women's matches been trash for the most part. Like, and they give you the same matchups every single time. Like on SmackDown, they put the same two women's tags against each other. Even with the men, they put shit Motor City Machine Guns going against DIY again. I think they doing that at Royal Rumble. Like again, Raw is the same. Feels like the same two, three, four women they put in matches over and over and over and over.
I I will say, as a slight benefit of the doubt, if you don't like, I'll say it like this. So I feel like the season for, even though there technically is no season, the season for WWE is from legit Royal Rumble until about Survivor Series. And after that, in most years, there's some outliers if you look back, and especially the last 20 years. But like mostly that after Survivor Series to Royal Rumble starts is, them just writing the same. Like if you remember the video games, it's like you writing your storyline mode or whatever it is called in the games. It's like you just doing that over and over. Like, well, we'll just do, like you said, Motor Machine Guns versus War Raiders or something for like another 8 weeks until we find what we really want to do. And
Yeah,
then
it's a
like
lot of like filler and stuff like that.
tons of filler. So like, don't get me wrong, I still watch, but like NXT has actually had more changeover, or like as what you're talking about, than the main roster has in the last 3 months. Like the main roster's basically been like, oh, like, hey, Naomi and Bianca, here's this. Uh, you know, uh, like the only real changeover has been kind of Drew, Seth, um, sort of Roman, like in between stuff. But like, if you notice, the guys and girls who have multiple feuds, they're the ones who kind of have more leeway because they've been in multiple feuds for like 6 months or whatever.
Mm.
Shout out to CM Punk, by the way.
What's that? Do you see The Rock in the Rumble, or The Rock is filming another movie? I mean, his movie's been tanking, but him in the Rumble, star-studded. That's all I can say. Star-studded. If anything, he might show up the night after the Rumble and do his whole grand Rock entrance type thing, but I don't see him winning the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, like he doesn't necessarily need to be in the Rumble. Like, um, and it's one of those things like what eventually, even if it ain't this year, it's like what is like there's so many interesting variables as far as on the road to WrestleMania. Like some are Rumble dependent because they'll be in, but some aren't. Like, what does Solo do? Is Jacob Fatu in? Is obviously you have your filler guys. Is The Rock actually in? We know the stars who are in, so it's like, do you need The Rock in? Because like you said earlier with Cena, if The Rock's in, whoever technically eliminated The Rock, if he did get eliminated, would be exactly who he would feud with.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
CM Punk. Like, hell, I mean, we'll talk about this, afterwards, probably, eventually. But like, does CM Punk eliminate Roman? Because if he does, you already know, like that's
This
who.
storyline opens back up with the whole Paul Heyman thing, and it kind of makes it come full circle.
Yeah, whoever whoever needs. Shout out to my brother be on here, but taking this guy, but whoever eliminates Roman is definitely like the guy who's going to face him. Like that's like a direct thing. Like I'm actually more excited when it comes down to that because it's like, okay, if you eliminate Cena, that would probably be somebody who would face him, right? Like, do you do, for instance, uh, Drew McIntyre Cena? Like, if you didn't do a WrestleMania, right? Or not WrestleMania, but like a title match, like because Drew's whole thing. If we look at this from a character standpoint, right? Drew's whole thing is not wrong at all. Like mostly, Kevin Owens is almost the same way. Like they have legitimate gripes. Like Kevin Owens' gripe with Cody Rhodes, even though he's somehow a heel. I mean, well, we know why he's heel, like power driving people. But outside of that, it's like, nigga, I fought the bloodline for 3 years when you even weren't here, and I got screwed over, right?
And then
Uh,
he joined the ops.
yeah, and then Drew the same way. Like I was at class at the castle or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like I was literally pinning this man, and then Solo comes out. That's his debut. Is screwing me over. And then how Drew said to Solo, yeah, you know, I basically hate Roman more than I hate you, but I have a beef with you. Like that, it all made sense. Like if we were looking at it, and obviously it's not real life, but I always tell people like, just look at it from if it's a movie or TV show, what does the character, like if this was real life, is the character technically wrong in his motives of how he treats people or not? His answer, like Drew and Kevin Owens' answer, really is no. Like you said, fighting against the ops, fighting uphill, getting screwed over, and then Cody, you want to be, Mr. Man. And then with Roman, speaking of him real quick, is Roman's character any different than it really has been the last 3 years? No. He's an asshole.
He just gets cheered by the crowd at this point. Now
Yeah.
he's kind of a face.
And on a side note of you saying that, if you ever get a chance, I had sent this to one of my friends before. As far as recently, if you look up, I can't remember how long ago it was, 4 or 5 years ago, when Daniel Bryan ended up facing Kofi Mania and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What Daniel Bryan's heel character at that time was so perfect because it was so right and accurate, where he was calling the fans fickle and that you were all for me 1 minute and all against me. And he even told Kofi, "Oh yeah, they're for you now, but watch what happened." And that's what happened with Kofi's title reign. His title reign ended in 8 seconds or 10 seconds, whatever it happened with Brock, was partially because they were moving to Fox and Brock is the biggest superstar. That's a whole nother story. But more point is that it was bigger with Kobe Mania. They were so excited to see him win the title. And that's the thing about being a babyface. As you know, if you're a babyface, they're so excited and we want you to win. And then when you finally do win, they're like, we don't care.
Yeah, the biggest highlight was him mocking Randy Orton with the whole stupid thing. Because that's what ended his push back in 2011, 2012, when he was supposed to take a punt to the head, but instead Randy Orton had the RKO him, and that's what Orton said stupid. And I remember watching that live, I was like, I don't think he playing right there. I think he really mad right there because the veins was popping out of his neck and shit. His face was red. Yeah, I think Orton really pissed off. And I went on Wrestle that night, and it was like, oh yeah, he got some heat for real. It killed his push.
And honestly, that was the best. Even though he technically wasn't racist, people, but given circumstances, Nazi head, Aryan Nation, Randy Orton was the best.
Oh, the ball head, 09.
Yeah, the ball head, fucking, I'll punt you in the head. How he beat, even though he was white, he beat John Cena like a slave in the I Quit match.
That shit was different, man. He even kissed Stephanie in front of Triple H.
Nah.
I couldn't be
Oh
cool
my
with that,
god.
even if it is like, even if it was like, all right, man. So when we out here, I'm gonna kiss your wife and I'm gonna look at you when you do it. When I do it, I'm like, I couldn't do it, man. I'm like, nah, bro. Nah, that would have been a real fight going on in that ring at that point. They would have had to bring in refs, security, all type of shit.
And he was so like, given circumstances, that Randy from like '08 to like 2010 ish was probably one of the best heel. Even though that's a whole longer story, for another day. It was probably one of the best heels of all time.
Oh, he definitely was. Like that dude was a complete menace. And then the face turn, how they did it with him against Legacy at Mania, that made it that much better.
Yeah. And I feel like, he was just like he had, and he had just got at that point, like all the, of course it was after the one WrestleMania where he fought Cena and them in a triple threat, but like he had just got all the tattoos because remember he kind of got hurt for a little bit, came back, and it's like, wait a minute, this isn't like, the
The
guy
Legend
who does
Killer.
yeah, this isn't the pose guy. This is like this nigga looked like I said, he went to like a motorcycle club or some shit, got the tattoos, like he was like different. Putting like you said, putting him in the head, making out with Steph. Yeah, like he said, RKO out of nowhere. Like that's where that came from. Like hell, it was even more than that. He was punting out of nowhere.
I miss when he did it because he don't do that anymore. I feel like
Ugh.
when he turned face, he stopped punting people in the head. The exception was, the Kofi Kingston thing because Kofi botched it. But yeah, I miss when he was punting people because you see it sometimes in the ring. There'll be a situation where it's like, okay, this is the perfect situation for Reigns. Just turn around, get to the back of the turnbuckle real quick, and start running and punt the dude. But he don't even do that anymore.
Like somebody needs to like Loki. Like I'll just say this: if Orton didn't bring it back, which whatever, if there was ever for a Homelander Cody, right?
I
That
forgot what
should be it.
game. Nah, I think it was a game. I might be wrong. I think okay, there might be two. I know there's definitely one. I think it's the new Mortal Kombat because he brought up Homelander. He's a DLC, and I saw unless somebody did, they like to edit shit and all that with the games now, where they did something where Homelander was in the WWE game, or he might be a DLC for some wrestling game. I think it might be either AEW's or WWE. I think it is WWE 2K24 Homeland is like a DLC character.
That would be hilarious. And like Cody, because if you see some of his heel work,
Gotcha.
especially where he was like talking to some broad, like, yeah, I'll pay you $20. That's more than they're gonna pay you. Like Cody can be ruthless, like legit. Shout out to the Smash and Stephanie Topanga. I just want to say that, but like I don't even know if I can. I mean, obviously, I know you how your content is. I love you, but like if as a black man, and not it just as a full-blooded man in general, if you're on this platform, like if you didn't want to smash Topanga and Stephanie McMahon back in the day, like I don't even know what to say. But go on ahead. that's, that's all I wanted to say about that.
But now you brought up
Topanga and Stephanie, definitely top 5 white girls the last 30 years.
that's some bullshit, man. That's
I
a
was in
lot
the
of
room
white
with
women.
Stephanie.
What? Nah, this is a story. What?
Legit. I actually have a bunch of different stories. Like, I try to bring them out. But so 2004, no, No, it was 2004. I can even tell you exactly when it was. So 2004, the day after Bad Blood, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, uh, fought at Bad Blood, Hell in a Cell, right? So the next day they were in Dayton, Ohio. I actually made sure that was in I want to say June or July of that year. I made sure I was there early, right? Like I was there probably before most of the people there because show starts at like 7:30, whatever. So I
Mhm.
go in like the back of the state arena or whatever, and the way the back of the arena was, and I was like, I mean, looking like a college student of Wright State University. Shout out to them, by the way. So I go through, there's no security at all. So this is like what, over 20 years ago, no security, no nothing. I'm just like hanging out. I'm like, okay, maybe I can get in these doors. I see college kids going in these doors. I go in too. So I didn't realize that they had a gym upstairs um, in the arena or whatever that people could access if they were a student. I look like one. I didn't get carded when I walked through. I'm just kind of standing around the first floor. Literally, I still remember what she was wearing. Like one of the greatest experiences of my life for obvious reasons. Walking by, like just literally walking by me in the hallway, and Stephanie McMahon wearing a white blouse and a black skirt. Never forget it. She like stopped. I was like, "Hey," like literally like awestruck. She stopped right in front of me. I was like, yeah, so you're here for the show." Like I was just talking bullshit. Like you're here for the show tonight, blah 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 blah. She looks at me. We talked for probably a good couple minutes. Went and shook my hand and walked off. And I remember staring at her like, I still remember that quote. I was like, like still just like in awestruck. And what's crazy is after I met her, I literally walked outside. I remember calling like my dad, like, I met like my favorite female crush, blah, 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 blah. Like a couple hours later, it's crazy because you can still watch it back. So there was like Triple H was fighting, well, it ended up like on what was it, the highlight reel that night, like Evolution did. But
Mhm.
before that, like one of the segments was Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Kane, where Kane ended up stomping Shawn Michaels' throat out. You can look it up. This is 2004 Bad Blood. And what's crazy is, like a couple hours after that, I went through that same entrance, and right, like they had like set up like a black curtain kind of before, and
Mhm.
literally right maybe 3 feet from me was Shawn Michaels in a white wife beater and like blue jeans, and that's the same exact thing he wore to the ring and got stomped out at.
Damn.
Yeah, look at. I'll have to send it to you. I remember it like it was yesterday, like the whole today, because I was like, damn, like I wanted to say like, hey, Sean, like pull the curtain back, but I figured if I did, somebody would fuck me up because at that point they actually had a curtain up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, they wouldn't be too chill about that too. And you said this was at the pay-per-view or the night after the pay-per-view?
The night after, so like Bad Blood
Oh,
was in Columbus. Bad Blood was in Columbus in 2004, and because it was, I think there's been 3 Bad Bloods if I'm not correct. So there was '97 Hell in a Cell, 2004, and then the one recently with CM Punk and them.
mm.
And on the side note, somebody said Melina and Tori wasn't. Shout out to Melina.
Melina underrated, man.
Hey, do you
Underrated.
remember? Have you ever heard the story of her sleeping with Batista?
Vaguely.
Oh yeah, look that like it's some shit, man. But look that up, man. Like when she left Johnny Nitro or whatever, John Morrison, whoever, I forget his name at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. Like she left. And part of the reason she broke up with him, well, or he broke up with her, I forget how it worked, was because she was smashing Batista. And I remember thinking, like in real time, because there was a segment like right before all that broke up, before they broke up, and I just remember thinking, like, damn, Batista was out there, like she's small, he was out there, Batista bombing the shit. I'm sorry, I'm crazy. That's what I think about. Like, I was like, damn, he was like,
Oh, that's
and
funny, bro.
the way she would get on them splits, you remember that?
Yeah, I very vividly remember that shit because that was back like before they started taking like the women's division serious and shit when they were still divas. Was the time
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
like
watched the entrances. I was not watching any of them goddamn matches. I was watching the entrance, maybe a match here or there, but I flipped the football. I'm like, okay, 5 minutes up, flip back. All right, it's over with type shit. But
the way she was doing them splits, I remember. Well, I remember one time she fell off, but I remember one time she had like a thong on. I was like, I know she knows the camera's right there, right? Like she has to know. Yeah, see, you remember? Like, shout out to you. Yeah,
Hurricane J Dub said lots
she
of
was out. She was crazy out there, man. Like, and I'm like the camera's right. And shout out to the cameraman being right there, though. Like, that's what's crazy.
cameraman knew his assignment and he did not fail. He was like, "This is my moment to shine," and he
And
shined like the sun.
and let me say, can I get like? I just want to say this for about 20 seconds, real quick. Like, even though this is going to sound even way crazier, shout out to Vince McMahon. And I know people give Vince McMahon a lot of shit, and we're not even going to talk about booking and a lot of other stuff. But when people used to be like, "Yeah, he's smashing all the divas," of course he's smashing all the divas because, firstly, he's a rich man who literally can put you on TV. And I know in today's climate, given certain circumstances, that he's using this, but let's not act like these women are innocent in that. Like, you have it's good, is what do they call it? Not goods and services, like a supply and demand, right?
Mm.
Like, it's literally supply and demand. He has a job for you making millions of dollars, being on TV. Shout out to Sonny. You smash guys like HBK or Batista or whoever and get on TV and make money. And he gets to smash you like Vince or Shawn Michaels or whoever. That's a win-win for everybody. I'm just saying.
Someone asked, "Do I think Sammy turns heel?" I say yes.
He
I feel
should.
like that's what I was saying in the Discord. I was like, turn him heel ASAP because they ain't done nothing with him as a face for real. Cool, he part of the bloodline. He the token white dude. That's cool and all, but he ain't won a singles belt in a minute, in a hot ass minute, man. And it would make things interesting too, because because you brought up booking with Vince. Triple H's booking is way too predictable, too bland. It's too vanilla. It's damn near like Goodell with the Chiefs in the NFL. It's like too predictable.
I will say you are completely right. I am, well, not necessarily Hunter as a booker, as a Triple H fan, as far as his, other wrestling stuff. I will say, what I will, and we'll obviously have this conversation a few months from now. Well, like given WrestleMania and right after that, with last year being his first WrestleMania and given all the title changes that did or didn't happen before, like, I'm more interested now because it's like, okay, you came off of that. Obviously, you don't want to be too aggressive with certain things. Cody's champion for a while, Gunther's champion, and I feel like it's just like kind of say what like Bobby Lashley when people are like, well, Bobby Lashley was underutilized. Well, he was champion for a minute, and my thing is when there's one champion, obviously there's been two for a little bit of time now. But when there's one champion, it's hard to what do you say? Get other people signed when it's like, well, this guy is a double champion, and then the Intercontinental champion's been champion for like 600 days, and the tag team title is like 600 days, and there's only one of those two. Like it almost needs to be spread out, and so I almost feel like and you know we'll see what happens, but given the bloodline storyline kind of spreading out, given CM Punk and certain guys coming out, like it does need to, like this WrestleMania season needs to hit, and they need to flip into more different stars after that. If you feel what I'm saying, like they need to kind of ride a new chapter of, okay, it isn't just Judgment Day doing this, or Liv Morgan and whatever. Like they gotta flip that out.
I feel like the way Triple H book, he ain't gonna do that. Like he don't even like throw a whole bunch of wrenches in there, throw a lot of in terms like Vince, considering Vince was like the type of dude, he'd be like last minute split decision where it's like as they walking out, they gonna find out such and such gonna happen. Triple H, like
Hey,
the Mustafa Ali thing when he found out when he was walking out from
that,
Miami.
that
Hey,
shit
by the
is
way,
actually.
I'm not gonna win. Just wait, don't grab it. You're not finna win this shit. After he was supposedly booked to win it.
And what's wild is, given circumstances, because I actually did watch that. When I tell you, like, again, shout out to Vince. Like, I feel like he kind of lost his fastball late. That's a whole longer story. But, like, people don't understand, like, firstly, the fact that for literally like 30, 40 years, you're just out there, especially the last 20, pumping out TV content like hours worth, like even like nobody but like soap operas are pulling out 5, 6, 7 hours of fucking TV talent, pop culture type stuff every week from when Undertaker was like the Western Dead Man to now, and he was out there doing that for us all the time. Now, I'll say two things about that. One, and all these are things everybody can look up. One, he once said, in the mid-90s, remember, he was like, yeah, I know what you want more than you know what you want. And I actually, even though this is a kind of a side note, I've legitimately have said that when it comes to relationships with a woman, no offense out there, but as far as like women say, oh, I want this out of a relationship, I want that. And it's like women really don't know what they want. They'll say they want Russell Wilson when they really go the future, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with Vince McMahon when he was out there saying, yeah, these fans, and it kind of goes back to the Daniel Bryan when he was saying fans are fickle. Yeah, we want Kofi. Yeah, they want the next flavor of the month until they want it. Even though Vince could have did a better job of that, I feel like he was just like, yeah, I'll give them what I want because we can just manipulate them to the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. Oh, you want Roman? Here's Roman. Yeah, fuck Roman. Oh, well, fuck. Here's Daniel Bryan. Wait, you don't want Daniel Bryan? You want Kofi? You don't want Kofi? You want this guy? Okay. Like, there's only certain people that normally got behind. So shout out to Vince for that. And two, later down the line, when if anybody remembers him and his new flavor of the month before he left, what's our guy? Austin Theory, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's so Austin Theory, there's a segment where he's in the back, and I forget who Austin Theory is going to fight at the time, but he's in the back and he's like, hey, and this was literally something people should think about because it was, even though it was a promo, I was like, no, he's legit telling you how he thinks. He was like, everybody thinks, they're powerful and this, that, and the third. And he said, everybody thinks they know what's good in wrestling. He said, you know what? He said, I'll tell you the most powerful tool. and then he reached in the drawer and he pulled out a pencil. He said, "You want to know my most powerful tool?" It was almost like he was pulling out a gun. It was like this, and Austin Theory's looking at him like, "What the fuck you talking about?" Right? Like that's what makes the segment great. Everybody look it up on YouTube. He's like the pencil. He said, and not just the pencil. He said, not just this. He said, here's the most powerful tool, and he turned it around, and it was the eraser because he said in real time on this promo, it was on SmackDown, I think. He said, you know how many people have been erased out of the main event of this, that, and a third? And I'm like, holy fuck, like this should be like, I hope these wrestlers are hearing what he's saying because that's legitimately true.
Yeah, because there's been numerous stories of wrestlers. Obviously, other wrestlers influenced it too, but Vince made the final call. Whether it be John Cena stopping the Nexus's push, and Wade Barrett's the one who definitely got hurt the most from that, to Randy Orton and John Cena getting Mr. Anderson up out of there, John Cena getting Kenny Dykstra out of there after he stole his girl, which is super grimy, and then he had Mickey James shipped to SmackDown after the fact. I'm like, yeah. Then the biggest one is I know you've heard the story of what happened to Alex Riley. Like him and John Cena, why he ended up not in WWE and the stuff he allegedly seen Cena doing backstage, like black magic to, not Orton, but Cena trying to get him to do some salacious activities on his tour bus. And that was the moment when Cena turned on him for real, because it was like, oh, it's like that now, huh? And it was in every match that Alex Riley had Cena be right there in the gorilla position talking shit the whole time about Alex Riley. And the promo where I think it was to Alex Riley. It might have been somebody else. That you're not championship material.
Yeah.
And you could tell Cena meant that shit. He was, because it was after that they falling out, and you could tell Cena meant that shit. That was not kayfabe. No, nigga did not like him. No, they didn't like him, should I say?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, they kind of go back to the racer and all that. Like, I watched the Shelton Benjamin with AEW thing, and hey AEW, if you watch that, it's literally like a week old or less. And he was talking about, how come in the other company, of course, you didn't make it farther? And he was like, he said, I just didn't want to play basically ball. And he said, I should have stood up for myself even more. And I was just like, like in WWE world, maybe not necessarily as much now. It may be a little different, but definitely in Vince's world and stuff like that. I mean, The Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H, they all said it. And you're swimming with sharks. Everybody wants to be number one. Stone Cold's out there writing, I'm Stone Cold number one. Rock sees that as he's moving up, and he wants to sign he's number one because he feels a certain type of way. Like, so when you got a guy like John Cena, I'm not going to speak for everything that, obviously you have said and we know, but like, you either play ball right or you end up where you are. And I'm not necessarily for that, but it's just, you know how it is. Like, these guys and girls need to understand, like, the entertainment business, whether it's wrestling, whatever it is, like, you're only as good as like your next, like who is around you. So so if you, or even like who you're around. So if you have seen as an ally, you may probably go further, just like Triple H and Shawn, or there's that infamous 2002 where Shawn was like, or Triple H was like, I used Shawn Michaels to get to the top, just like Shawn used me to stay at the top. That was real shit.
And look at him now. One of them's running NXT. The other one is the new Vince McMahon. So that's funny how DX took over wrestling for real.
It all worked out, but it was all about, like, it's just like me knowing you. Like, you're on your way to the freaking top. I mean, not that you're not on top, whatever, right now, because you are given circumstances, but you're on your way organically to the top of certain things. It would be like if me or some of the other guys that are on your platform piss you off, like you may not want to give them the push that they could get, right. So their platform may stop because they've been like, man, you don't fuck with low, fuck that. I gotta, you know, like that's my guy. Like, so your subs, getting subs may go down because I don't fuck with you or whatever. Like people like in wrestling, it's crazy like how they could just be wiped out. Like you said, what's name was supposed to be in the main event, he gets hurt. Mr. Kennedy, you got other guys like that's why when you actually win the title, that's why I understand why guys, be crying or stuff like that, because it's like for you to finally get it, even if it was for a day, like you don't know, like it could have been you yesterday may have been scratched out, but because somebody got hurt or somebody said something, they like, hey, Bobo, it's you. Like you're the man. We putting it on you tonight. And Jericho, undisputed title style, like he didn't know he was winning the title until literally like that. I think it was the night before that day. It was like, yeah, you want to know because Vince was talking to Undertaker. You know how we know the business going to shit. Yeah, we're gonna put the title on Jericho tonight.
I remember that interview. I think it was with Chris Van Vliet.
I think it was. I think you're right.
He be getting all them interviews. He get every single wrestler on the roster that nigga done interviewed at some point, man. Shit. But I respect his hustle though for sure. Someone said Kurt Angle said Vince McMahon respects you when you stand up for yourself. I feel like that's like there's a fine line with that one. Cause he likes you as long as he can control you. That's why they ain't signed New Jack.
New Jack was crazy. Shout out to New Jack. He was crazy as fuck, though.
Yeah, he wasn't. I think they were shifting to PG or about to around the time New Jack did his little tryout or went for the trial. I think it was like 04. Actually, no, that wasn't PG. But a lot of stuff he was doing ECW, yeah, that wasn't gonna fly.
Yeah, how they wanted it and how that dude was doing some extra shit.
I say he still gave the greatest promo of all time. It wasn't even in the ring. It was what's called the real. It's like where he gives a 7-minute promo about the Dudleys because I think they were supposed to have some match in I'll say Cincinnati. It's like 12 years ago or so when he cut this promo. But for the first couple minutes, I thought this nigga was serious, and I was like, oh wait, it's New Jack. You don't know a New Jack.
Shout out to him and Cornette when he was talking about OJ. It was like, shout out to OJ. We got another one. Like,
keep up the good work. I was like,
yeah, good. That's what he said.
That's some wild shit.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Like, but some people, and obviously New Jack will be known forever for other reasons, but it's like certain people, they were just meant for like either chaos or crazy being on TV. Like you said, certain people just can't be in control. And then obviously, if you have certain people with direction, like a Cornette or a Paul Heyman or whatever, it's like, hey, Paul Heyman is infamous of, hey, you have gripes, put it on the air. Hey, I have a TV show, say whatever you want. I mean, it's the reason why shit don't go forever because, obviously public sponsors look at that shit like, I remember back in the day, obviously you do too, when like the only promos or you could get like YJ Stinger and fucking Stacker 2 and I think the biggest what do you call that promotion or whatever or commercial WWE had for a minute was Snickers candy bars.
Mm-hmm. And now it's all over the ring. It's you got the WWE logo on them, at least on the Raw on Netflix. The WWE logo, Snickers here, Slim Jim over here, Prime, because I think they sponsor everything WWE now, and it's convenient. Logan Paul is in WWE now. It turned into an
Yeah.
ad fest.
When you're like, I mean, it's just like your platform. If you go from you to obviously, you have stuff that may interrupt on YouTube or whatever. Like, hey, look at this ad here, but it would be like you start getting multiple ads and they were like higher up. It's like like it couldn't be like Gilly where he's out there with Too Short. What's my favorite word? They would block that shit out. Like they would, yeah, you can't say this. You want this corporate money. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and that's what confused me about WWE is I know the rate. At least I know on SmackDown the rating still said PG, but it's like there was a point where they were trying to go back to the Attitude Era, and then they just kind of said, "Nah, we ain't gonna really do that." And I kind of feel like that's where they kind of are now. It's like it's still kind of PG. They say ass, and I don't think they say shit. No, they get bleeped out. But they might say ass or bitch or something like that. But other than that, it's pretty PG for the most part.
yeah, like I'll say, they have a bunch of different guys who like I feel like with the way the wrestlers are now, like they can promote like a bunch of different stuff. Like they know that they have to be more PG comparative to certain circumstances because it's like, hey, they don't want any Chris Benoit stuff happening anymore.
Hell no. And on top of that, a lot of the Attitude Era stuff they couldn't do nowadays. Like that's just not going with all the sponsors and shit. Not gonna happen. Just not gonna happen. Especially when you're
No,
trying to market to kids for the most part. Yeah, no.
no, that's definitely not happening anymore. Like, I think they just realized like, hey, especially with the UFC stuff, even though UFC's gory and stuff like that, like they do treat it like two separate entities and stuff like that. So
I guess because
there's
one is openly scripted, the other isn't. That's why. Like with UFC, since they don't say, "Hey, we got these scripted storylines and stuff," it's like, nah, they need to see blood. They need to see because they do the promos and stuff too. Obviously, WWE helps with that with the build up to the UFC title matches and all. It's like they need to see someone with they nose broken or blood on the mat. They need to see that. Whereas pro wrestling
yeah,
is like, you get in trouble if you try to get color now, unless you get approved or it's an accident.
yeah. There's only so much they can do with that. Yeah, they're like, you gotta be busted open the hard way, shit like that.
Like a lot of the ECW, like the real ECW, not the WWE reboot. That yeah, that ain't gonna fly nowadays. At least with the WWE.
Yeah, it definitely won't fly like that. Like you're right about that. I don't know what's going on.
Trey Finesse, that's a good question. Yeah, we gonna end it on this question. So how many wrestlers now today have that charisma and can cut a decent promo? That's a struggle now, or maybe you just being too critical. Nah, you ain't lying. There's a good amount that can't cut a promo. And a lot of them, even if they face or heel, they just don't get over with the crowd. Like the crowd has little to no reaction to them when they come out. And it's crazy because they got social media to use in their advantage. That's how Zack Ryder gave himself. I mean, he was friends with Cena too. That helped, but that's what really forced Vince to pay attention because Zack Ryder was on YouTube before it became a thing for pro wrestlers to start YouTube channels, and he built his following up that way. I was like, well, shit, he's been a jobber on Raw. We might as well put the U.S. title on him real quick. So that's what I look at.
Yeah,
What do you think?
yeah. They didn't want him to. They didn't want him to be like one of the faces or anything like that.
Yeah, it's like WWE wants to get credit for it. Like, yeah, we made you type thing versus he did it on his own. He didn't really need the WWE.
Yeah, he's more successful as a guy outside of that than he is or outside WWE than he is there.
Yeah, some people they gotta leave and come back to finally get their shot. Like not Vince McMahon, Drew McIntyre. That's an example. He was handpicked by McMahon coming in, ended up getting fired. Then he came back, won the title, and now he's relegated to mid Carter. I mean, he main event Raw, but let's be real, the nigga been beefing with mid Carters for the last like 3-4 months.
Yeah. What is there any reason you think that is?
Which part?
That he's only beefing with mid Carters.
I don't know. Unless they just don't know what to do with them past the storylines they got now, like the Punk feud, and now this weird obsession with Punk and the Bloodline at the same time. It's like put this nigga in the title match, either give him the belt, do something, freshen it up a little bit. But I don't know. If he was black, that'd be an easier question to answer. But I don't know. It's like Sheamus. Sheamus got a mega push out the gate whenever he got to Raw. He win the title quick as hell. I think he had the record for like the fastest or shortest amount of time to win the WWE title or something like that. He got a mega push out the gate, which now that I'm older, I know that was to get the international fan base, like how they put the belt on Jinder Mahal, even though he's Canadian, he's not really, from India, but that's really more so what that was.
Yeah, Jinder Mahal being Indian, they try to push with that, but
I forgot what specifically was going on. I think they had an event coming up in India, or they had him winning in. I think it was they had him winning in India because Vince wanted to appease the fans.
yeah, I mean that makes sense. Like you said, even though he's Canadian,
but his character, the theme, he from India type shit. Well, yeah, man, I'll say this to close it out. To even piggyback off of that, as far as why they can't cut good promos, and I thought about this. How they target more former pro athletes, like football players, not really a whole lot of basketball players per se, but more athletes. So they got people who can perform the moves in the ring, and it looks a lot more choreographed now. But they failed to get that part that's missing, the promo part that you really need. Because you can be kind of mid and cut a good promo and get away with it. Like the Miz been doing that shit for a hot little minute. He a hard worker, but let's keep it a stack. The Miz promos and carried this nigga career, and he one of the best in WWE to cut promos. So that's
yeah,
another why. And they got this whole NIL thing now. I don't know if you heard of this, where like Mark Henry's son, he's in it, where you do whatever collegiate sports you're doing, rowing, volleyball, whatever the hell you do, and then after that you go into the WWE circuit, and you kind of get streamlined into it.
yeah. With the newer athletes, if you can't talk, you'll end up like Shelton Benjamin. Like you got to be able to have a talk and shoot them at the same time, or at least something like that.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I was just saying. Someone says Sheamus only got the push because someone got injured and because he worked out with Triple H. That's wild. That is wild. They probably saw, hey, this ginger swole as hell, man. Give this nigga a belt real quick. Let's get that Irish market real quick.
Yeah, the Miz came from reality TV, so it worked out.
That's right. What was that show?
Real
Not
World.
Road Rule, Real World. I get that one and Road Rules confused. I think it's a part of Real World.
Yeah, it's like the same thing, sort of. At least back in the day, it was.
But yeah, the thing that really helped him. You remember when him and Daniel Bryan had that? It was like this WWE like kind of like a talk show type thing where Daniel Bryan was saying like the Miz wrestled too soft in the ring and the Miz got mad as hell. And like he stood up, it looked like he was about to start crying and shit. That's what did
Yeah,
it for the Miz.
yeah, I remember that. Like honestly, I mean, certain people, like you look at like Gunther, he has a hateable face, right?
That's an
Like,
understatement.
well, and he's like, he looks like European, so he has an easy like. You want to hate him, Sheamus. You can see both going back and forth. Drew, you can see him being kind of a tweener, even though younger him was like, Vince's choice and boy. Like sometimes you can see by the look of somebody, like if they're good. The one thing, even though of course everybody hates him for other reasons, like about like a guy like Hulk Hogan, right? Is Hulk Hogan, he could hype somebody up. Like, and sure, he actually could wrestle in Japan if you ever watched that. But it was more that like he could captivate an audience, like Bob Backlund, other guys. That's why it didn't work like Hulkamania, like or a Macho Man or something like that, or a Warrior. Even though he was sounding crazy, he just had adrenaline or whatever. Like certain people, like there's different ways to connect with the audience. Like, but you can't be like fucking Ricochet or fucking you know Shelton Benjamin like like Bobby Lashley. The reason why he probably didn't go higher until he kind of got a guy like MVP is because he can't talk.
Yeah, he was all looks and muscle, no person. And then when he talked in interviews, like as himself, he seemed like one of the nicest people in the world. I was like,
Yeah, and,
yes. And he got a baby face too, for real.
yeah, he has some disease where he actually lost the ability to grow hair. I mean, I
I
wonder if it's
didn't
ever.
know that. I thought that was just by choice. I did not know
Yeah,
that.
like he like lost his eyebrows because if you ever look at him when he first got to wrestling, he actually had eyebrows and stuff.
Huh. I never noticed he was missing eyebrows.
Yeah, ironically, my dad was missing eyebrows, and I never thought about it.
Huh.
Like, like I don't know, and it wasn't like he shaved them, but like with Bobby, like he just didn't have anything.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it was like, or he did, like he had like a goatee for a little bit. It like he just lost the ability. So, but he actually says that in that Hey AEW thing. He's like talking and Shelton Benjamin and what's the name of talking MVP. And
Mhm.
when they're asking him certain questions, he's like, "Yeah, I'm actually the one. I'm actually the one who actually is the nicest one out of the three."
I
And
can see.
people forget that because MVP was in prison for like 10 years.
I remember hearing about MVP getting locked up, like him or Truth, because our Truth, he used to open for Tupac way back in the day, and to fund his music career, he was selling some rocks. His words, I ain't gotta say alleged, and he did his time for it. But yeah, like that's it's more common than you think. Unfortunately, it's most of the black wrestlers, but it's more common than you think.
Yeah. I, and you said that was our truth, right?
Yeah, our Truth's like 51.
Yeah. Him and Bobby Lashley definitely don't age at all.
Hell no, they don't.
And our truth, like whatever the fountain of youth is, um, like our truth definitely has it. Like And Bobby Lashley. Hell, you don't age at all. Like you look the same for like 4 years.
Yeah, it's that melanin, man. That melanin slow down aging a little bit.
Yeah, whatever that Tennessee water is you're drinking over there.
Yeah, man, it's been good talking with you. We gonna get on up out of here. Make sure you hit that like button, RKO that like button, Code Breaker that like button, Sweet Chin Music that like button, man.
Yeah,
Thank you for watching. We are out.
we are